Hey guys, welcome to gwhisky. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Glenglassaugh Evolution. Stick around. Alright, so we're talking about a Glenglassaugh today, which is not a particularly popular brand. And the thing about my channel is I'm pretty mainstream as far as YouTube goes, WhiskyTube. So I usually focus on bottles that I think a lot more people are going to be interested in because those get views, and views make me money. And I like money. Hold on, that might have been too honest. I focus on popular whiskey so I can help the maximum number of people. Yeah. But every so often I'll give my patrons a few bottles to choose from for a review, and the bottles I put forward are not going to be super popular whiskeys. I mean, they're not going to be IBs or anything really obscure, but maybe just bottles that are a little bit less talked about, and this month they chose this one. And the reason they chose this one, which makes sense, is that Glenglassaugh recently put out a new line, and it's their first age-stated line that they've put out since they reopened their mothball between 1986 and 2008. And ever since reopening in 2008, all we've had from them are no age statements like this, and they recently put out a 12-year-old. I'll put it up here. So people are kind of excited about that one. And to be honest, I'm kind of excited about this one too. We have our stylish new bottle here. I would have thought they'd start with a 10-year-old age statement, but we've got a nice 12-year-old age statement here. You know, people are excited about the new line, which means we have a rejuvenated interest in the brand. Which means now is as good of a time as any to talk about the old line, because with the new line out, who knows how much time we've got before the old line goes the way of the white-footed rabbit rat, which is an extinct species of Australian rodent that has not been seen since 1845. Cute. Now this is the second Glenglassaugh that I've looked at on the channel. I've also looked at the Torfa, which is a peated expression. Didn't think much of it. What we're looking at today is called the Evolution. This is no age statement whiskey. It's been matured in ex-Tennessee casks, and that's about as much as I know about it. Now, I admit this is not a whiskey brand that I get very excited about. I don't think they make bad whiskey, but for me, it's always been kind of meh. You know, it's decent, but usually forgettable. But the Evolution here is one I wanted to try. It has been recommended a few times by people down in the comments, and it seems to be the expression with the most fans. Now, this one I think I have had before, but I'm not 100% sure. If I did have it, it was a very long time ago and I've completely forgotten about it, so it is a good time to revisit it. So let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we've got some really good specs here. This one comes in at 50% ABV, it's non-chill filtered, and our color is natural. Now, 46% is great, but to have 50% as your standard ABV across your core range, that's not something you see too much. Bruichladdich comes to mind, maybe others, but that's pretty cool. All right, for presentation, I never really loved Glenglassaugh bottles. I think the look, the label, they're not really for me. Interestingly, another commonality between Glenglassaugh and Bruichladdich is they have pretty much the same bottle shape, but I prefer the look of Bruichladdich. I just find these Glenglassaugh bottles a little bit dull to look at. I much prefer the newer look that they put out. I think it's a lot more modern, a lot more stylish, more attention grabbing. But yeah, for these ones, 1.5 out of 5. It does say natural color on the bottle. I didn't find non-chill filtered anywhere on the bottle. That might be on the box. I don't have the box, but because it's 50% ABV, chill filtration is not necessary, so the benefit of the doubt is given there. But yeah, our info is just okay, and I don't love the look of the bottle. So, yeah. So I did add a splash of water here on the nose. This is very light, very airy considering the ABV. I get some big vanilla notes in here, barley, there's some malty flavors. There is some citrus, like lemon zest. There's some cereal in here. I get some florals in here. There's definitely some orchard fruits in here, so like apples and peaches. There is a touch of sharpness, like you do notice that it's kind of on the young side, but overall it is a very nice nose. On the palate and finish, the palate is initially much saltier than expected. I get some tropical fruits in here. There is a slight paperiness to it. I get some spicy pepperiness here. Again, we get that big vanilla flavor in here. There's some citrus, there's some nutmeg lingering on some florals here. Medium finish. Okay, so this stuff is decent. I'm not impressed, but I do think it's decent. I definitely prefer this to the Torfa. I think this is malty and clean and bright and fresh. It's definitely distillate driven. Overall, I'd say this comes across as like a full flavored, straightforward, pleasant casual sipper. Maybe not very exciting though. Honestly, I can see why I remember so little about this stuff from last time. It's not bad, it's just not very memorable. For me, this hits like a mass marketed Irish whiskey, just with better specs, more maltiness, more sharpness. Definitely not oozing originality though. It is very much a traditional Highland profile, which is a profile that I like, and when it's well done, I'll enjoy the whiskey. And I wouldn't say this isn't well done, it's just not doing enough, if that makes sense. But to its credit, there are some good things happening here. I like these bright, fresh, clean profiles. This whiskey would have fit nicely on the list I did a few weeks back where I talked about bright, clean, casual summer sippers. You got one right here. One thing of note, one point of interest here is that this is kind of a salty whiskey, and it's not known for that. And one of my patrons recently mentioned that the new line is meant to be quite a salty, coastal flavor profile. And I thought that's kind of strange. They're not really known for that. But this one, yeah, you do get a little bit of that coastal saltiness in here, which tracks because Glenglassaugh is quite near the coast. And actually that saltiness is probably my favorite thing about this whiskey. I always like salty coastal notes in my whiskey, and this one does actually have a little bit of that, so that's cool. What else? This is young. It's not offensively young, but it is young, and I do get that kind of papery note that I often dislike in younger whiskeys that is in here. There's a sharpness to this. It does feel a bit undercooked. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with sharp, biting whiskeys as long as I don't get that youthful papery note, and as long as I find the distillate interesting and engaging. A great example of this would be the classic Laddie. This is a sharp and biting whiskey, but damn, it's good. It's young, but it's not too young. It's full flavored, it's malty, it's unique, it's complex. I don't get any of those traits in this one. You know, Laddie's sharp. This is sharp too, but this is more. It's sharper. It's bordering on astringency. And finally, I find our flavors are just too predictable. You've had all the flavors in this whiskey 1,000 times before in other whiskeys, and I think for the most part, a lot of those other whiskeys do it better. I mentioned this would fit on that summer sipper list I did a while back. Yes, it would, but I wouldn't put it on that list because I think everything else that I put on that list is much better and much more interesting than this. And listen, I know I'm being really harsh on this whiskey, but I just need more of a hook. I need to latch on to something here, something with more grip, as Roy would say. I find it decent, but once again, very forgettable. My score, 82. And I know that's not a great score. I know a couple people in particular who are going to be very unhappy with this score. But listen, this is a whiskey that by every right I should enjoy because it's my style. But I don't think it's the best iteration of this style of whiskey. I think there are so many better options out there. There's Glencaddam, there's King's Barnes, of course classic Laddie. There are a lot of better options out there. And again, I don't hate this stuff. It's just I'm neutral towards it. And you don't want to be neutral towards your whiskey. You want your whiskey to dazzle you. Like this. Or like this. Or like that. So it's fine, but it's a bit astringent, it's a bit generic for me, and I think a lot of the problems that I've got with this whiskey would be solved with a few more years in the cask. So I am genuinely looking forward to trying the new line when it comes out. Age should fix a lot of these problems, so I guess we'll see. Now I know I just spent the last few minutes shitting all over this whiskey, but it's good value. As long as you get on with it, and a lot of people do, I do think it's worth the money. For the money, we're getting a 50% ABV. A lot of people are going to enjoy these flavors, and where I live in my market, it's at the very low end of entry-level pricing. So yeah, worth it. Alright, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, I do have the Patreon. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Always appreciate it. and I want to hear from you. Have you tried our evolution here? Have you tried any of the other Glenglassaughs out there? What do you think of this one? What do you think of the brand overall? Let me know down below. Finally, down below in the comments, you can also let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye guys.